Fitin10 Nation is day 18 of the Fitin10 challenge, officially over 1/4 into the challenge. And I posted the Calendly link yesterday morning, I think it was. And so you need to go into your Slack app. The link is there. Well, the link's very easy. It's just www.calendly.com /train on main. Go to the link there, book your next scan. They start this Saturday, okay? I have already done one scan because somebody had to do it early, and kudos to this person. They lost over 5.5 pounds of body fat. They lost over not 5.5 pounds of weight. Well, it is weight, but specifically we can track the amount of body fat. They lost 5.5 pounds of body fat. So kudos to this person. They did exceptionally well. Very close to their first mini goal. Okay, which reminds me, bring your mini guide with you, your challenge manual. Okay, so we can fill in. We can look at what your mini goal is. Well, I'll have it in front of me on a spreadsheet, but you know it's good to have it there, and then we can write in what you need to do. Okay, all right. I'm going to talk to you about protein. I know a lot of you are still struggling with this, but I know there are some of you who are getting all your protein because I check in with you, or I've checked in with some of you, and you are. So kudos to you. The protein is going to be, from a body composition standpoint, it's going to be the most important nutrient, and I'll talk about that in a second here as to why that is. But let's go through, some of the characteristics of protein and why it's so important. Okay, so actually, let me start by saying this. It's always really been funny to me that it's actually besides essential fats. Okay, protein is the only other essential nutrient that we need. Essential macronutrient, that is. And yet it's the one we eat the least amount of in the diet on a typical American diet, I should say Western diet. It really baffles me. I don't really understand why. It's the one, like I said, the one essential macronutrient, besides essential fats, that we need. We have to have. We have to have this in order to have proper... our whole body is made up of protein. Everything, right? Like our skin... our hair, our teeth, all of our bones. People they think our bones are made of calcium, but actually more than 50% of bone is actually protein. So it actually blows my mind when you hear this myth about protein being acidic and it eats away at bone. It's like bone is over 50% protein. What are you talking about? So these things that these myths that just don't even they don't make sense. Anyways. Proteins essentially are the building blocks of life. Okay, so they make up things like I mentioned, all the structure of your body. They make up certain hormones like insulin, glucagon, cortisol, growth hormone. They're involved in the contractile properties of the muscle. So the muscle's made up of protein, but muscle could actually not contract if it wasn't for proteins. They help in blood clotting. They're the foundation of your immune system. They make up hemoglobin. Okay, so the proteins transfer oxygen around your blood, around your body. They form the structure for enzymes. The list goes on and on and on. But we are basically made up entirely of protein and some fat. Okay, protein, just from that standpoint, it stands to reason that you need to be eating a decent amount of protein in your diet. All right, so let's talk about why it's the most important thing for body composition. Well, for one, you may have heard that protein increases your metabolism. Okay, well, I really hate this because it's not really accurate. Really, what it means is it actually has the highest thermic effect of all the foods out there. So 30%, roughly speaking, I think it's like 27 to 33% of the energy in protein goes towards the digestion of that macronutrient. All right, so carbohydrates have a 6 to 8% thermic effect. All right, so 6 to 8% of the energy is in a carbohydrates going towards digestion, and 2 to 3% of the energy in fat is going towards digestion. So, you know, if you have equal amount of calories, so you have 1,000 calories worth of, let's say, protein, 1,000 calories worth of carbohydrates, 300 of those calories are just being utilized to digest that protein, whereas, you know, 60 to 80 calories are digesting that 1,000 calories worth of carbohydrate. Okay, you know, putting everything else aside. All right, so protein has the highest thermic effect, takes the most energy to digest. It's the most satiating macro. So this is one reason why you're saying, I'm eating way more food, I'm always full. That's because you're eating protein, because protein's very satiating. So, you know, you never hear anybody say, oh man, I pigged out on like steak last night. You know, it's like, you know, you're just not going to hear that, right? People are going to pig out on, you know, usually carbohydrates and fats, but usually it's carbohydrates. Typically speaking, foods that are made of carbohydrates. It helps to stabilize blood glucose level. So this is really important because, you know, if your blood glucose goes, you know, out of range, right? So if you eat, say, you know, a ton of fast digesting carbohydrates, like say table sugar, you're going to get an influx of glucose into the bloodstream, and that's toxic to your body. Your body has to get rid of that. It has to stabilize it. So it needs to release a lot of insulin from your pancreas, and then it has to shuttle that sugar, you know, basically either to your liver, your muscles, to fat cells. If you're diabetic, you'll excrete it. Okay, so, but protein helps. So if you have, you know, that table sugar with some protein, let's say, then all of a sudden that's going to dramatically decrease the speed at which that carbohydrate gets broken down and released into the bloodstream. Okay, so less chance of that sugar going to fat, right? Because there's less of that sugar in the bloodstream at one time. It's obviously going to help with muscle recovery and muscle support, and muscle burns more energy, right? It's the most metabolically active tissue in the body aside from your vital organs. Okay, muscle is. And you need to support that muscle with protein, right? It's the least likely to be converted to, you know, energy, okay, into glucose. It's a very arduous process that has to go through in order for protein to go to actual glucose. Okay, so that's a process called gluconeogenesis. That's not an easy thing to go through. So to convert an excess amount of protein to sugar is very hard for the body to do. Okay, so it's highly unlikely that you will get fat even if you overconsume protein. Lowers the glycemic. I mean, I have a list here. Okay, I'll read off one more. It lowers the glycemic index of food. Okay, so, well, I kind of already mentioned this because, you know, like I said, it will slow the release of certain carbohydrates into the bloodstream. Okay, the list goes on. If you want to get lean, you got to make sure. I'm not saying have a diet that's just protein. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying have more protein in your diet. This is one reason why I'm giving you more protein in your diet. Okay, this is one reason why protein is so important. All right. So if your body composition is your concern, if you want to drop weight, eat more protein, okay? Generally speaking, when a client comes to see me and they ask me, what's one thing I can do? I don't just want to change anything else. What's one thing I can do that can help me lose weight right away? I say, replace some of your foods that are non-protein with protein, and you will lose weight. I guarantee you will lose weight, okay? So there you go. Make sure you get your protein. If you want to get leaner, okay? You listen. Here's the irony. A lot of people think, I don't know where this comes from, but a lot of people think that protein bulks you up. It does the opposite. Carbohydrates and fats bulk you up. Protein does not. Protein gets you leaner. Clients always come to me, my son's playing football, how do I bulk him up? I'm buying him these protein shakes. I'm like, no. If you want to bulk him up, he needs to be eating fats and carbohydrates, okay? Protein will only make you leaner. It's the hardest macronutrient for you to gain weight, okay? So I hope if you're not getting the amount of protein you're supposed to be having that I've outlined, make sure you do, okay? I'm at 10 minutes. I'm going to end this video I didn't get to food of the day, which was this. I'll get to it tomorrow. All right, let's get the message of the day. Every meal is a short-term investment in how you feel, a mid-term investment in how you look, and a long-term investment in your freedom from disease, okay? Especially lifestyle-related diseases, diabetes, high cholesterol, all the things that are associated with metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, hardening of the arteries, these types of things, okay? So, think of everything you eat, think of every time you eat as it's an investment, both short-term, mid-term, and long-term, okay? So again, investment in how you feel, a short-term investment in how you feel, mid-term investment in how you look, which I realize is not the most important thing, but let's face it, it's kind of important too, right? I'm sure we do care what we look like to some degree or another. We are all vain to some capacity or another, I think. If you're not, kudos to you. I will fully admit I am vain. All right. I think we can all agree it's the most important. The long-term investment in your health, okay? Especially from your freedom from lifestyle-related diseases. These diseases that did not exist. We didn't have high rates of cancer. We didn't have high rates of atherosclerosis. We didn't have, high cholesterol. We didn't have diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes. It didn't exist, going back 100, 200 years ago because we were eating all real whole food, including a lot of meats. I'm just saying, okay? Most cultures were. All right? Anyways, that's all I'm going to say. Submit, commit, you guys. Do what you have to do in this challenge to be the best that you can be. Your scan is coming up. Get your protein in. And positive energy, positive vibes for the love of God. Believe in yourself. And give some gratitude. I guarantee you will feel better. I'll talk to you all very soon. See you guys.